Now we get into some of the juicy stuff. This stuff right here, trust me. Hello, my love muffins, and welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about a few of the things that you need when you sign a new client, because some of you all may be thinking, all right, I have a new client. What happens next? Let me tell you. The first thing you do is onboard your new client. Onboarding is a lot of steps. There's a lot of different things that you're going to do to officially onboard a new client. But within that, there's going to be things that your client has to give you. So if you thought that, okay, this client paid me, I'm going to start posting right away. Like, that's not how it works. There's a lot of things that we have to do. And so in this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 things that you need to be getting from a client before you start working. I feel like this camera is too high. Let's lower you down. I like that better. If you're new here, my name is Erica, and I am your personal social media management coach and your biggest cheerleader. And I'm the owner of the Agency Edit, which is an 8-week accelerator program. And if you don't know anything about being a social media manager, by the time I'm done with you, you're gonna have a full-fledged legal agency. I'm just saying. And I'm gonna mentor you every step of the way. So if you're ready, let's jump right on into it, shall we? So like I said, all of this is going to be part of the onboarding. Before you do any type of work for the client, you have to know these things, and you have to know these things because it's going to help you create content. It's going to help you create strategy. It's going to guide everything that you do. And it's not your job to come up with any of these things. These are all the things that your client should know. And if they don't, it's okay to ask them and challenge them a little bit, and they'll give it to you. But we need these things. The first thing we're going to cover is the voice and the tone of your client's business or brand. So your client may say, well, the voice is me. It's like I talk, it's me, right? But if your client is a brand, let's say they sell vitamins or something like that, then their voice may not be them. It may be somebody else. They may be inspired by somebody else, a celebrity. What I want you to do is figure out what this is. A good example of somebody who has a good tone and brand is like Fenty Beauty. I always use this example. If you've never seen Fenty Beauty's Instagram account, I urge you to go there. And you'll notice that it sounds a lot like what you think Rihanna talks like, right? Like you've heard Rihanna in interviews. We've seen Rihanna tweet back in the day, if you were a part of that. But if you look at there, it has a very distinct voice and tone. It's not bland. It's not like, hey, buy this new makeup. Like there's some sass in there. There's a person in there, and you want that for your client. And that's the thing. That's the reason why you want to know the voice and tone. That's going to help you write out your captions for your clients. But they have to give that to you. And sometimes you are going to have to try to get that out of them. And there's things that you can do. So for example, if your client's like, I just don't know, you can ask them, okay, think of a celebrity. Are there any celebrities or influencers who have the tone that you like? If the client says that it's them, pay attention when you're talking to them. What words do they say? How do they describe things? And then you start mimicking that inside of the copy, inside of the captions. The next thing that you're going to need is all of their brand elements. So this means their logos, their colors, their fonts. They need to be giving you all of this stuff. Again, there's going to be clients who don't have this stuff. Ideally, they have it. If you can make it, I've made it up on my own. So if you need to make it up for the client, you can go for it. But ideally they have this, and you're going to store all this stuff inside of like a Google Drive if you're using that. If you haven't seen my video on how to organize your Google Drive, go ahead and take a look at that. But you can have them simply drop all of these assets, all the fonts, all the colors inside of there for you. Next up is, who is their ideal customer? Who is their audience? Y'all, this is something that your client has to tell you. And you need to know this because you need to know who we're talking to, right? So we have this voice and this tone. Do these things match up, right? So if my ideal customer is like a Rihanna, well, I'm not going to be talking to them super like conservative, right? Those two things don't match up exactly. So you want to make sure that those go together. And ideally, your client already knows that. Ideally, your client already has that. But it's not for you to sit and figure out who your client is talking to. Your client should already know. And if they don't know, this is something you sit down with them through and like kind of think through it. Okay, well, what do they look like? What do they talk like? And you can even include this in a strategy. Ideally, your strategy includes this. But again, this is based off of information that you're getting from the client. Now we get into some of the juicy stuff. These are going to be you need the other stuff, but this stuff right here, trust me. You need to know the customer journey, AKA the funnel for your client. What does this mean? This means that you need to know where you're directing people on Instagram. If we're saying go to the link in bio, for what? Are we having people sign up for an email list? Are we having them go to a product page? Like, what's happening? What happens after somebody gets from Instagram to the next thing? Like, what does that journey actually look like to a purchase? Because you have to remember, as a social media manager, you are not directly responsible for people making purchases or buying services from your client on Instagram. Your job, most of it, is to nurture, to educate, to build up that know, like, and trust. Once somebody trusts your client, then they're ready to move into the next part of the funnel. But you have to know how to get them into that next part, because you may be talking to people in DMs. You may have to talk about it inside of your captions and your call to actions. So ask your client, okay, we have this service. How do you want people to sign up for it? Do they need to sign up for your email list or a wait list? Do they need to sign up for a discovery call with you? Make sure that you understand all of these steps. And the last thing, and most important thing, you have to know your client's business goals. And I'll tell you this, I'd say about 80 to 90% of clients, one, don't know what their business goals are because they haven't really been challenged with keeping up with that. And they've never had a social media manager ask that. And this is something that I walk through with my students inside the accelerator, step by step, exactly how to do this, because it's so important. And it's the major thing that's going to set you apart from other social media managers. When you start talking about business goals and you actually understand how to take those business goals and translate that into social media goals. So a lot of times when you ask your client, well, what are your business goals? And they're going to say, oh, I want to get more sales. Okay, but we have to get to the nitty gritty of that. And I'm talking about breaking that all the way down. Sometimes they're going to say, well, I want to get more engagement. That's not a business goal. That's a social media goal. So with these 5 things, like I said, with the majority of them, your clients may have never been challenged with these things before. They may not know these things, but these are the things that are going to help you create content for them. These are the things that are going to help you create a strategy for them. These are the things that you as a social media manager cannot necessarily make up for your client. These are things they're going to have to come ready to give you in the beginning of the relationship. And so when you have initial phone calls with them, you can ask these questions like, hey, do you have your branding together? Do you have your logos? Do you know who your ideal clients are? Do you know what their pain points are? And then you decide, because let's say they don't have any of that stuff. If you know that you are not in a position and you don't know how to create these things for a client, because that's more of a branding thing, right? That's not a social media manager thing. Those are branding business things that people usually set up on the back end. So you can decide, do I want to work with this person knowing that they don't have any of these things in place? And I'm going to have to try to figure it out or pull it out of them. If the answer is no, then you know they're not a good fit. If the answer is, well, I don't mind, or I'm trying to learn how to do some branding things anyway, so it's all good, then cool, you can go for it and work with that client. But I hope that this video was super helpful. I hope it all made sense. And if you enjoy content like this, if you are a new social media manager, or if you're an existing social media manager, but you ain't got your things all the way together, make sure that you like and make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to be putting out more videos like this to help you get organized and get started in your journey. Until next time, peace.